Can you turn it on so I can hear? Please?
So extensive on what we were charging, so we just combined a lot of things and tried to drop the price on things the best I could. The other thing the city council has asked us to do and would be to, since we're doing the housing plan right now, that they'd like us to send this to HWC Engineering, who's doing that plan for us, to have them review it. So I'd just like to have them review it, and they'll just kind of compare this to other municipalities in the state and let us know how we compare, if they think anything's too high or unreasonable. So
yeah, it's definitely much more condensed and easy to understand, and just so all these fees will cover most of the types of things that come before you.
yes, yeah. Like I said, I just kind of combined some things. I had a lot of extra lines in there, just trying to, if somebody had multiple things to drop the price on as they added things to it, but just for the sake of clarity, I just kind of dropped a lot of that out of there. So.
Okay, so we don't need to take any action on this tonight, do we?
No, I mean, like I said, it's just as long as everybody's good, we're, like I said, to just wait before we take it back to the council to have HWC review it. That's all we're looking to do. So,
Okay, so review by the engineering firm and then back to the city council for.
or you guys want to come back to you guys to hear their comments first before?
I don't think we need to do that.
All right.
So then the next step would be go to the city council. Does anyone else have any questions on the fee schedule for Josh? Anyone in the audience have any questions, concerns? Okay, we'll move on to new business. Discussion topics. Number one is procedures and timeline to expand extraterritorial jurisdiction. Josh?
Yeah. So Todd and I met with a couple days ago and went over this. So for the most part, kind of view the way this is going to be is kind of like a zone map change through the county. So we just have a few steps. So the first step, which I have here on the screen, we need to amend the future land use map and the comprehensive plan. I have up on the screen. You have it in your packet there. And the purpose of this is we'll be expanding that limit. We have to show what we plan to use or plan to zone those areas we're expanding into. And to be honest, for the most part, it's just going to be all agricultural. So this green area on this map will just get bigger. And as you can see here on the GIS map there, we can expand up to 2 miles. So on this map in the green is our current zoning limit that the county's approved for us, and then the red line in the middle of the city limits, and then I just went through and from the corners and the edges there just did the blue line, which is the 2 mile extent of what we can expand to. So a version of this will be recreated to replace this future land use map in the comprehensive plan. And from there, so at our next meeting, April 17th, we'll have a public hearing to amend the future land use map and the comprehensive plan. Then we'll need to pass a resolution doing that. And then at the same time, one of the things we have to do is you as the Rensselaer Plan Commission has to petition the County Plan Commission to do this. So we'll approve petitioning them contingent on the city council also approving the amendment to the comprehensive plan map.
So the blue line is you basically maxed it out.
Yeah, that's the max out. So I'll kind of review, and Todd and I talked about how parcels break on that when I do that. But in all reality, we will probably use this blue line as what we submit to the county, and then we'll do a more detailed thing from there, because they first have to just approve this future land use map to the extent of what they'll allow us to zone to. We don't have to clarify what we're going to zone it at that time besides just agriculture, so.
So when we get trying to square it off, kind of like that bottom.
Yeah, we can do things like that, yeah, so.
So if a parcel falls within the blue line, the whole parcel will get zoned.
That's something we were kind of talking about, yeah.
My opinion on that, without having done extensive research, is that the statute says you can go 2 miles. I don't think that allows you to go beyond that just because a parcel may lie partially within and partially without the 2 mile. I would say that the 2 miles is 2 miles. Like I said, I haven't done any, real research on it. I certainly can if the commission requests.
I'm sure it's probably a long ways before we're gonna be up against that buffer.
Yeah.
Is this gonna change the buffer zone?
Yeah, so it'll expand it.
So then, Todd, would you default back, or would it be based on like a percentage, or?
The way I read the statute, and forgive me if I'm not answering the question, but you go outside or 2 miles from your corporate limits. So if that falls within a parcel, I think, technically you'd have to decide where that falls in that parcel. If a project or an application on that parcel was outside that limit, then it would still be the county's jurisdiction. That's assuming anything was approved. And then inside it would be the city's. I at first was suspecting that it was drawn to not go over parcel lines, but Josh pointed out right away that some of the current extraterritorial jurisdiction actually cuts through parcels. And you can see that some of it does go right up against the 2 mile line, and it's kind of squared off. I assume that's what they were doing back then, is they didn't want a bunch of irregular lines that may complicate things, and so they squared it off a bit. But there would be situations where someone may argue, well, you're splitting hairs, we're really in the county versus the city, or vice versa. But I think the technology exists that you can determine really where that is.
So after like I said, I'll work on this map and have it ready for the next meeting, and for the public to view, since we gotta have a public hearing on it. And like I said, I won't, for this map, I don't have to determine those parcels right now. We will just kind of go where we like it drawn. If we like these curved lines, we can use them. If not, we can kind of square it off however we want. So, but from there, after you and the city approve the new future use map for the comprehensive plan, then the county plan commission will actually have a public hearing to give us that jurisdiction. And from there, they will make a recommendation to the county commissioners to write an ordinance granting us that. Once that gets done, that's step 2. And once that gets done, step 3, it comes back to us, and we'll actually amend our zone map to assign the zoning districts to the new parcels. So, or to the new ground that's within that 2 mile limit.
So this is a long process with several public hearings.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, like you see from there, if we start middle of next month, then it'll take, if everything goes according to plan, till the end of June to complete it. So.
Well, I think it's a good approach. I think it's the right thing to do, especially with the imminent expanding of city utilities, and it would allow us more control with the zoning part of it. So, anybody else have any questions, comments on the zoning map? Anyone in the audience? Okay, the next item is the APC Rule 2025-01, hearing and meeting procedures. We had a very brief discussion at the last meeting about this, but Josh has got a little more prepared this time.
Yeah, I just went through the example I had given you guys last time, and just went through the order of business for our agendas, and then got the other items on here, procedure for adding or removing things from the agenda, procedure for public comment time, and then procedure for hearings on petitions. I'd like for you guys just to, when you have a moment to review those things and see if you have questions. Most of it's pretty self-explanatory, but we can kind of go through the petition hearing procedure right now. It calls for a kind of a time limit of 45 minutes that can be extended at your guys' discretion. So the way I'd set it up, when we have a petition on, say, a rezone here first, I will give my report and any reports from the review by the tech committee or the plat committee. Then we'll allow the petitioner up to 10 minutes to present their presentation. Then public discussion time, we have 10 minutes for people that are in support, 10 minutes for those that are neutral on the position, and then an additional 10 minutes for those in opposition to the petition. At the conclusion of that, there'll be another opportunity for the petitioner to make any closing remarks about what was discussed in the public discussion. And then from there, we'll close the public discussion portion of it and allow for discussion among the Plan Commission. And then at the conclusion of your discussion, we'll call for a vote, have one more additional time for discussion, and then give you the option to do a voice, hand, or roll call vote. And then one of the things on there I just left in there that's kind of late for when we do our meetings, but it says that no petition will be considered after 10 p.m. So if we wanted to adjust that time down to whatever we want, we can. I just left it in there for right now.
Here that late. Right. I like this because it allows for a more orderly hearing when you're hearing about a petition. It'll allow it to flow a little bit better rather than just throwing it all together and kind of a mishmash.
Yeah, like I said, we get a lot of questions from those coming before you guys on how this meeting goes, so this will be very helpful for them to understand how to prepare and what to be ready for. So,
Todd, do you have any thoughts on some of these?
Conceptually, I think it's a great idea. It allows for more order and, so everybody knows what's expected, and these will be available to the public. Applicants should actually get these, and want to know how this is going to proceed.
Right.
And I think I forgot to bring this up to Josh, but one thing I would recommend adding to this is, unless I've missed it, kind of a procedure and rule on the presentation of evidence from either those that support or remonstrators, specifically what these boards run into, not uncommonly, is somebody coming in and giving their spiel and then saying, oh yeah, I got letters from 6 of my neighbors. And that may be okay if the commission says it is, according to, if it's done right. We want their name, address, notarized, whatever, or no, we're not going to allow that. If you want to come to the meeting and present testimony, you can do that. Just things like that, not just throwing out the concepts. But
I think it's a good idea to have something to address that in there. It's not, people don't, at every hearing, don't bring evidence and letters like that, but it does happen. I've seen it happen county level, school level here.
Right.
It happens.
And one other concern I had, and there again, I apologize if I didn't bring this up to Josh. I noticed this on the last one, but under the number 4C public discussion, we've got it limited to 10 minutes each. And that may work in a lot of cases. You want to kind of try to prohibit or at least suppress a little bit just repetitive comments over and over and over. But there may be, on certain large or impactful applications where you may have a number of people wanting to speak, and it may go over that 10 minutes. You're not talking about 10 minutes each, right? That's the total for remonstrators, total for those that support.
right, and it got up in here that they have the authority to extend those.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say you can that's what I was getting to, is you can always suspend a portion of the rules to allow for that. So after I thought about that, and you said it's in there, also that doesn't offend me then. So.
Okay.
Just want to make sure you always give them due process and don't want to get something overturned on that type of a challenge.
Right. Okay. That's a good thought. Any other questions, comments? Yeah, Mike?
So I'll bring these for you guys to approve next time, and I'll work with Todd on that statement about rules for evidence in there, so we can make sure that's covered as well, so.
So are you suggesting, Todd, that evidence should be presented in person, or?
And that would totally be up to the board. I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't take written evidence. I just think there should be guidelines, because it's kind of all over the place that I've seen representing boards like this, that somebody can, and I've seen literally someone saying, I've got, 20 of my neighbors sign this petition, and just, well, how do we know it's their signature and whatever? You may want to require, that signature to be notarized. I mean, it could be important evidence to the board. Or, here's a letter. Okay, how do we know that was related to this petition even? Just some guidelines, not to be splitting hairs or anything, but.
Yeah. Oh, I know, recently when we were talking about that Prairie Street closing and all that, but one person just could never seem to make a meeting or.
In his defense, he works out of town. He's
Yeah,
never
but I mean,
been-
or submit anything like official, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I realize that, and it would have been helpful, I think, to have something, either in writing, maybe it should be notarized, or in person.
Yeah.
I would think if they're gonna present their their petition for something and not with just a letter, I would think would have to be notarized, if there's
No, and I
gonna
don't
be
think-
verbal.
Right, and I think the petitioner, or some type of a representative I think they're required to be here, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm talking, or Cliff, the people who come to speak in support of it or against it.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay, that's the end of the agenda. The next meeting is Thursday, April 17th, 2025 at 5:30 PM Central. Entertain a motion for adjournment. Been moved, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned.